Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome to the new 2022-23 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talkings, Our Millwall fan show. I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige, Bethany Warren and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Just before the show starts tonight, I think we were all saddened by the news, particularly those of us that saw and watched Phil Walker play, of his untimely death. I'd say to anyone that listens, he was a great man, and R.I.P. Phil Walker. Jeff Burnige, who I know was close to him, will add to that. Jeff?
Yeah, you've put that very, very well, Eamonn. A really great guy, but I'd like to focus on him as a player. He came straight from the Athenian League, straight into our first team, and made an immediate impact. Got promotion in his first season with Trevelyan. Amazing player to watch. One of those ones that glided across the field. I won't forget ever seeing him play, and those that are too young to have seen him, they've really missed something. R.I.P. Phil.
Stan?
Well, yeah, I mean, I listen to what Jeff says, and I don't disagree with him. But the only thing I would say is that when you talk about Phil Walker, and he was a great player, which he undoubtedly was, and he was a pioneer. Because it was unique, you also have to include in that Trevelyan as well, because they both come from the same place at the same time, and they both had an impact on Millwall and whatever. So no, I mean, it's a sad loss, but without question, Phil Walker was a Millwall legend. Of that there can be no doubt, and a pioneer.
Obviously, I don't really remember Phil Walker. I don't think I was born when he was playing for us. But my dad very much does remember Phil Walker, and he's been really sad about it. He was such a great player for us, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends at this time.
Thanks one and all. Remembering Phil Walker. You can also listen to a podcast that we have on our Spreaker site, where Jeff and Phil Coleman and Brian King have their memories of Phil Walker. A good series of games so far pre-season, and signings that many see Millwall as being championship promotion challengers. However, there is a big shout out amongst fans for a very quick out-and-out striker. Now, guys, and I'll start with you, Jeff. What do you think about that view?
We have been signing players during the close season, and there has been talk about us being in for one or two strikers. So I imagine that before long we will see another addition, and it probably will be a front player. But the style of play we're adopting at the moment, given that we've only seen pre-season friendlies, it doesn't appear that we would be playing in a way that would enable a really quick striker to get in behind people. There was only one ball played in behind, and I think Santo was given offside. No, someone didn't make the pass. So yeah, I'm quite happy if we sign a striker. Always happy to see pace, so why not?
Stan, what about you, mate?
Well, I don't have a problem if we can get another striker. The only thing I slightly query though is for the last couple of years, right? We've been struggling to score goals, and because people are saying, well, what we need is an out-and-out goal scorer. Well, in part, I don't disagree with that. But you see, I happen to think one of our problems have been is that there's not enough goals being scored by other players in other positions. I think compared to other teams, it's not that great. And, again, in the last couple of years, when we had Matt Smith up front, and then when we had Jed Wallace up there as well, I mean, we tended just to play the ball into them, and it was all built round, set pieces and all this sort of stuff. And because when you adopt that approach, you then sort of shut down certain options because everything's geared to them, and if they ain't happening for them, they're not scoring. So, in principle, I don't have an argument with a striker, but I think there's more players out there can score more goals, more midfield players, and if we attack a different way, play a different way, then it might well be that that's part of the solution solved.
Okay, so you see that there's a bit more to do with the team. Bethany, got any thoughts?
I actually kind of echo the same sentiment as Stan, really. Just another thing I was thinking the other day, a lot of our top goal scorers haven't been strikers in the last few seasons, so it would be nice if we had one that could, but, for me, I don't mind where a goal comes from as long as we get a few, so...
Yeah, get them all scoring goals, we'd be laughing, wouldn't we, eh?
Exactly. The title to the Premier League is on. The race is on.
Okay, then. That sounds really good. Okay, so, yeah, there's mixed views there, but I suspect someone is coming. I've got a feeling I read somewhere today that Mr. Rowett believes he's going to sign a striker. We'll take a break there and hear about the new fans matchday programme.
Bethany here. The new Millwall matchday programmes, how can we get hold of these on matchdays?
There will be 6 programme sellers, 3 lots of 2. They will be at the Carrow Lane end. They will be by the Stockholm Road gate and also by the Millwall Caf. If it's raining, possibly under the arch there.
How much are these programmes going to cost?
The programmes are £1 each. Right money please, because I doubt we'll have a lot of change. If you give us a £5, we'll give you 5 programmes which you can then issue out to your mates in the ground.
I've got a special event coming up soon. The old programmes, you could get something written in them. How could I go about getting something written in the new ones?
Anyone who wants to put a message in the programme, be it a birthday, or even a memorial, please email us at smprogram, without the S, at protonmail.com. We will, of course, give priority to those events happening that week, but we're happy to see anything you want to put in.
Thanks for that. Just remind me where the people selling these programmes will be.
To reiterate, the programme sellers, there will be at the Carrow Lane end gate, at the Stockholm Road gate, and I will be there with Chris by the Millwall Caf. Come and say hello, but don't walk past without buying a programme.
Thanks very much. All the best to you and your team.
I look forward to seeing you, Bethany. I'll be outside the Millwall Caf selling the programmes, and I'm sure you won't walk past without buying one.
I'm Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnige, Bethany Warren and Stan Godwin. Don't forget, have your pound coin ready or buy 5 for a £5. And I think they mean that as well. Anyway, our first guest has become almost as familiar to Millwall fans as our manager. He is looking forward to the forthcoming season for a number of reasons. None more so than the potential of returning to Norwich to test the seating out in the press box. One of 2 voices on Millwall match days with Max McLennan on radio and live streaming. It's the BBC's Karl Bates, admired by Jeff Burnige for completely different reasons. Hi, Karl, how are you?
Hi, Eamonn, how are you?
I'm good.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. All right, Karl.
Yeah.
I'm very good, Stan. Very good.
Yeah, it's the first show of the season. They're a bit rusty.
Yeah.
So there you go. Before I let you off to the panel, Karl, we have just talked around a significant brief from fans that we need a very quick out-and-out striker to add to our signings. What do you think?
I can't disagree with what people have said. I think Bradshaw and Fobe did well last season. We saw in glimpses when they had a partnership and they could get some games together. They were scoring goals and causing the opposition problems. Unfortunately, then Bradshaw got injured in that game, twisting his ankle. And the good thing is with those two is it was a genuine partnership. It wasn't, we were hoping on that one-off central striker that we're alluding to there. And I think Gary, if he plays with a 3, then maybe it'll be a Fobe in the middle. But variety always helps. It used to be, for example, when you used to have Matt Smith as that different option. So maybe somebody, as you mentioned, with out and out pace could be the difference, especially late on in the game. Maybe as a super sub. The last quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, teams are tiring. The last thing they want to do is have a ball over the top. So Gary's done really well in the transfer market. So to add an extra striker, I think would be the icing on the cake.
All right, that's it. Seems pretty convincing, that view. Bethany.
Hello, Carl.
Hello.
What are you most excited about ahead of this season beyond going to Norwich again?
Yes, Norwich does seem to be a regular topic when people talk to me, I must admit. I took my son to the Dartford game, and somebody sent to a Millwall fan walking past, and they said, "Oh, off to Carrow Road this year." I was like, "Yes, I'm off to Carrow Road again this year," and I'm already assured by the media side that they are going to milk the cow before that game. So yes, you'll hear my infamous commentary many times, I'm sure, in the week leading up to the match.
I hope so.
Other than me falling flat on my face and spending some quality time with the floor. I must admit, I love away games. I get to tick off one more, which is Burnley. I haven't been to Burnley's ground before, although everybody that has says I'm not missing much. But I won't be missing the journeys. I think, motorway services have spent far too much quality time with me over the last year or two, and some of the journeys we've got are just bonkers, aren't they? Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Blackburn, Blackpool, Preston, etc., etc., etc. But it's good fun. Actually, 2 grounds. I haven't done Sunderland's either. There you go. 2 new grounds this season.
That's a delight, Sunderland.
But apparently, though, from where you commentate from, you're right at the back of the main stand. It's almost Sabutio territory. So, yeah, hopefully they've got some screens working. If not, my commentary could be cloudy, shall we say.
To say the least. Jeff?
Carl, thinking about the players who did so well last season, got us right to the last game with the chance of being in the playoffs, a remarkable achievement, really. Out of the group that we had last season, who do you think is likely to be the one that improves the most this season?
I must admit, and I know it divides opinion, and a lot of people think I'm bonkers for saying it, but I've always had a soft spot for Ryan Leonard within Millwall's team. I think he offers us that different, should we say, role in midfield, as in he's somebody that can get the ball and drive on with it, and he's deceptive. He doesn't look as quick as he actually is, and when we've seen him play at the back in a 3, when he's played on the right hand side of a 3, or when he's stepped in for Danny Mack at right wing back, he's got boundless energy, and he's very hard to knock off the ball, and he is somebody that can drive 30, 40 yards with the ball very quickly. So if he gets a regular game, I've no idea where, because the competition for places is beyond ridiculous, but he's somebody that I've got a lot of time for. And I think George Saville as well, in pre-season, he's done really well, because I imagine that Zian's going to play in that number 10 role, which is normally where we've seen George pop up and get vital goals for Millwall over the years, first and second time round. But when I've seen him play with George Honeyman in midfield, like against Palace, the amount of tracking back he was doing to help his side out was really, really impressive. And I didn't know he had that to his game either. To have that work rate still going backwards as well as forwards was a real plus point. And probably Bradshaw as well. He has an eye for a goal. When he's playing regularly, he scores goals. His stats back that up, and we saw him score some wonderful goals. The goal against Luton, he made a very hard chance look so easy. Yeah. So if he can stay fit, he could well be our top goal scorer by quite a way. And hopefully then, if Gary can't get anybody in, him and Afobe can make the difference up top between them.
Fair comment. Stan?
Yeah, all right, Carl, how are you?
I'm all right, Stan. Not bad at all, mate.
Right, anyway, many anticipate that we will be in the mix this season from promotion, including me. Who do you think will be the other main contenders?
I think, as always, teams that come down have that quality within their squad. And I say squad in capital letters because normally it's that sheer size of quality players that makes the difference over the season. So I'd say Norwich and Watford will be the 2 teams to look out for. Burnley, personally, I think are losing players. Well, they are, so that's a fact. Obviously, Nick Pope going to Newcastle and a couple of others have left in the last few weeks. So I think they might be a shout for the playoffs, but I think it's going to be hard for them to go straight back up, which means you can play this at the end of the season when Burnley win the league by 25 points. Other teams in and around the playoffs, I think it'll be like last season. I think it'll be a total bun fight, probably go down to the last game. The likes of Luton, Middlesbrough, Huddersfield, Blackburn, Sheffield United. It could be more. I think, again, as we saw last day, it'll chop and change during the 90 minutes. But the good thing is, as you mentioned, Stan, I'm with you. I think Millwall are going to be in the mix. And that's a great thing as a Millwall fan to know that, well, it was crazy. Even last game of the season against Bournemouth, I mean, I was at the ground and you were just starting to dream because a couple of results were going, Preston were winning at home, and you suddenly think, well, hang on a second, if we can go ahead against Bournemouth and this and that, and you're daring to dream you're going that stage ahead, which was bonkers really when you look at how the season started and people thinking, oh, should Gary, but is he the right man to take Millwall forwards, this, that and the other, and there we are 90 minutes away from the playoffs. So yeah, there's no reason why Millwall can't be in those positions because they've kept the majority of the squad. Yes, Jed's moved on, but he's brought in 3 or 4 players since. So, yeah, I think the future's promising anyway.
The future's bright. Jeff?
Yes, Carl, I mean, I agree with you about Ryan Leonard, by the way. I think he's been underrated by the fans, although, of course, when he arrived, it was for quite a big fee, and he did have a big injury. So he's never really played like a whole season, has he? And you also made the point about him, it's not clear what best position Gary has for him. That is not clear at the moment. But I agree about him. I think he's a player that if he did get a regular spot, we'd see a lot from him. But the chairman's obviously got to be in his bonnet this year because in this division, a lot of the clubs, even the quite big clubs, were badly hit by COVID on their income. So they haven't been splashing much money on new players and expensive wages on players. So I think that when you look at the teams that failed in the playoffs, from memory, that was Huddersfield, Sheffield United and Luton, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't think there's any question that we could finish above 2 or all of those if we had a good season. So you're then looking at the 3 that came down, and I agree with your assessment. I think losing Nick Pope, Ben Mee and Tarkowski, the 2 centre-backs, and the goalkeeper, and they've got a manager who's not managed in the Premier League, Vincent Kompany. I think the jury's out on how Burnley will do. What do you think? Do you think I'm on the right track there? I think we're on for the playoffs. Clearly, the chairman has given Gary the resources to build up the size of the squad on the basis that we found at times last season that the depth of squad was an issue. And at the moment, it's very difficult for us fans to see what the starting lineup is likely to be. I think we're going to use this squad a lot this season, and perhaps the previous discussion about whether we should sign a striker. I do think the signs are that the manager would like to sign another front player. He has tried. Obviously, the established 2 are Afobe and Bradshaw. He tried Tyler Bury up there, didn't he? And then played him in behind them. So the obvious place, I think, is a striker, unless he believes that Tanto Alafe can be the alternative. And I suspect he'll want to see him out on loan again. We don't know yet, but I think he might.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%, especially with Huddersfield as well. I mean, Harry Toffolo and Lewis O'Brien, both big players for them, both left, I think it was yesterday or the day before, going to Nottingham Forest. So that's 2 key players have disappeared from their ranks. In regards Millwall, as you've mentioned, with Ryan Leonard, it's genuine competition for places. Mason Bennett, I think, has played really, really well pre-season when he's come on. I thought he was excellent in the game midweek. And so he could maybe be the option as the striker if Afobe, for example, or Bradshaw's took a knock, or Gary just wants to change things around, maybe go with a 3 or a front 2 and move Mason inside. We've even seen Mason play just in behind a striker. But I think the the big plus for Millwall this season is that, put it this way, all of us could name a very strong 11 against Stoke. We could all get it wrong, and the team's still very strong. That's the big difference for me, is that every position on the park has got competition for places. You look at McNamara, as I mentioned, Ryan Leonard could play there. Hayden Muller didn't let anybody down when he's played there. You've got your back three. Obviously, we've got the guy in from Leeds. We've got Hutch, Cooper, Murray Wallace. We've got left back again, Murray Wallace or Scott Malone. In midfield, an abundance of players, just tons, just literally coming out of our ears. But Gary likes to play that way with the engine room, run players into the ground, get the next one on doing the same thing. And then we've got Fleming to play just at the top if he wants to play a diamond or a three, with 2, 1 in behind. And then you've got your strikers as well. So we've got genuine squad depth. He's not going to be looking on the bench and thinking, I'm going to bring him on, but we're going to lose a bit of quality on the pitch. He's going to be thinking, right, he can change the game here. And I think one of the massive success stories already is George Honeyman. I think he is going to be a fan's favourite, if he isn't already, very, very quickly. Because boy, has he got some energy. When we covered the game at Palace, within 5 minutes, he was kicking everybody, running around like a lunatic. You'd have thought Millwall were 5 minutes away from defeating the Champions League final. He was just crazy. It was really, really impressive to watch, because normally pre-season people want to take the time. It was a boiling hot day, and he was, start to finish, really, really good.
Bethany.
Carl, we've had some interesting tales of player rituals before a game. Do you and Max have any interesting habits pre-match?
Question. I wouldn't necessarily say pre-match rituals. I mean, we're normally ribbing each other about something. We're rarely serious unless there's technical issues or something has happened right on the money just before we start. But normally we're very relaxed. We're normally laughing and joking about something, or Max might be just sorting something else out, or I could be updating BBC London. But I've been doing the job now 15 years overall, 5 years at Millwall. Max has done a great job since he's come in. Don't let him know I said that. No. But he's doing really, really well. He's took to it duck to war. We bounce off each other well. And so I wouldn't necessarily, we've got any interest, any pre-match rituals apart from just taking the mickey out of each other, really. But at half-time, I have an issue, because his half-time ritual is to bomb it downstairs to the press room and eat as many biscuits as he possibly can before anybody else gets there. He has a play-off with Stuart, who works in the media team, and those two basically see who can get the most biscuits and get away with it without anybody noticing it. So by the time Muggins here gets down there from after summarising the first half, I'm left with the biscuits, your rich teas, your nice biscuits, the ones that haven't got any chocolate on, basically. So I'm a bit let down by them. So that's the issue I have. And as you can tell, I've let it go and I don't let it affect me at all.
Don't let
down, to use some of the nice biscuits while he's there.
He should, and I've told him to, but he doesn't. No,
we'll have to make this a public announcement to Max McClellan. You need to be getting the biscuits for Carl.
No, I was just about to say Max will lie, claim he's getting them for me so he can grab more, and they never make it my way.
There is something I'd like to ask Carl. This is Jeff here, Carl again. We need to resolve a couple of things. The McNamara situation, that's on people's minds a lot at the moment. Mm-hmm. That seems a rather strange situation there. I shouldn't think that Gary's very pleased with the QPR manager. It's basically been a public tapping up, hasn't it? So I'd like to see that resolved. Otherwise, we'll need competition for place there. But the other reason is we saw no Billy Mitchell on Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. Everybody in a 20-man squad played, but although Billy was on the team sheet, he never appeared. Know anything about that?
I don't. I'm not going to lie or claim otherwise. Billy was at the game at Dartford. I had a quick chat with him beforehand. Seemed perfectly fine. I played in that match. I haven't seen anything in regards, Danny, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. We brought out the away kit today officially, and Danny was involved in the video. I think a lot of the issue with QPR is a lot of smoke without fire. It's one of those media stories, right? There's not much going on. We need to drag up something. Millwall haven't been involved in any players leaving. Danny's had a really good season. QPR are interested, or were interested. I don't know if their ambitions to sign him have ended, and how serious they were. If they were desperately, literally kicking the door and we want him, how much do you want? Here you go, here you go, here you go. I can't see Danny leaving personally. I think it would be a surprising move, considering he's a Millwall fan and considering where Millwall are in comparison to QPR. It's not as if QPR are a Fulham, where you expect Fulham. We expected Fulham to get promoted because of the quality in their side and the fact they were an established championship team. But with QPR, that would be a sideways move and probably even a slightly backwards move. And as a Millwall fan, I would find that very strange if he did. I don't know Danny that well. I know him enough to say hello to and have a quick conversation, but I would be very, very surprised if he left. In regards to Billy, I don't know anything into that at all, so I'd hate to give you any information either way that's incorrect. But as far as I know from when I chatted to him against Dartford, everything seemed fine.
That's great. Sounds more positive than anything else we've heard about poor old Danny Mac and Billy. But beyond that, Karl, it's all great stuff, and it's great to hear from you. We've got a friendly tomorrow against Ipswich, but the real adventure commences against Stoke, as you briefly mentioned, on Saturday week. They parted ways with strikers, being Airmanophobia and Fletcher, and they have also signed Dwight Gale, who was linked with us, but they've got their man instead of us, or was that just a rumour? Is this a tough start to our season, or should we be looking to gain 3 points?
I'd say against Stoke, you want to gain 3 points. Your first game at home, I can't see anything else on Gary's mind than 3 points. You want to get off to a good start. It's then Cambridge United in the week in the Cup. Yeah. And I think the main thing for Gary will be the away form. That's something that Millwall need. If Millwall would have had a half-tidy run on the road, they'd have been in the playoffs. That's ultimately what cost Millwall that 6th spot in the league, was the performances on the road. At the Den, almost takes care of itself under Gary. Millwall have been very hard to beat. Sometimes they've ground out results. It hasn't been particularly pleasing on the eye, but they've still got the win. And I think that's one of the great credits to Gary. He makes the team so hard to play against. He eyes up the opposition, works out how to hurt them, but also how not to leave Millwall exposed. And at home, that works superbly. Away from home, however, we had some poor results. Losing to Peterborough was dreadful. First quarter of an hour, go ahead. Nice goal from Bradshaw. Nice assist from Jed. Looked like we were going to run away with the game, and then completely fell apart and allowed an average Peterborough side to beat us. Same at Blackpool. And these are just off the top of my head. Those two were very frustrating games. Scraped past Barnsley with that stoppage time header from Muzzer, although against Barnsley, it's Barnsley. And so I'd say that was very frustrating, and I think that'll be Gary's main concern more than home games. Although, obviously, first game at home, new season, new signings. The perfect start to the season would be Millwall to win and Zian to get himself a goal, announce himself, shall we say, to SE16, and that will help his confidence and hopefully help him kick on for the season.
Yeah, let's hope so. That'll be a brilliant start for us. Well, thank you again, Karl. It's been a pleasure as usual. We never talked anything about Bovril or anything like that, but we do look forward to you returning and providing your analytical view in not the too distant future. So, goodbye for now, Karl, and thanks for coming on.
Not a
problem.
Cheers,
Karl.
Take care.
Cheers, Karl.
We'll take a break there and listen to Debbie Julians and Harvey Brown talking a Lions Food Hub.
First of all, let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help. the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need support, and you can help if you can by making a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at Banquet, that is BANKUET. Or on a Saturday, you should make donations pre-match at the hub, about 50 metres down from the Lions store. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites.
I'm Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnige, Bethany Warren and Stan Godwin. Energy and food poverty is rising beyond our wildest dreams from 12 months ago. But your kindness will be much appreciated and lessen the burden on many families at risk. I was disappointed at losing out to Glasgow Rangers as Zach Lovelace left the Den for Ibrox. Since then, I know that Jeff has been out and about having a look at our young players. Jeff, can you give us an overview of what you've seen?
I was equally disappointed that we lost Zach. I think it was always on the cards that would happen. The situation I think everyone knows is that when a player gets to the end of his school days, in other words, the end of his under-16 year, and is offered a scholarship, he does have the right under the law to move, and there will be, if necessary, a tribunal if the two clubs can't agree on what the formula throws up. The problem is that the rules don't apply to when you're crossing national borders, and in terms of football, Rangers are a foreign club, so the amount of compensation you get will be very low. They've done this before. They signed Joe Aribo from Charlton for peanuts, and I think they've actually sold him on now within a couple of years. So I was very interested to see the under-18s play. I went to see a behind closed doors game on Saturday, and there's a lot of players I haven't seen before because I didn't get so many youth team games at all last season. We signed a large number of first-year scholars. I don't think our second-year group was as strong as some years, so I think our team this year will be a lot of first years. The good news is that in that game I saw 4 strikers, all of whom impressed me. So losing Zach is rubbish, yes, I hate that, but we've got some good young players in that position. So I think that was definitely a plus. I won't name them, if you don't mind. It was a behind closed doors game. I'd seen one of them before, who played in the youth team as an under-16. So I think that news is quite good. The under-23 game on Tuesday night at Dulwich, we won that game 3-1. I like watching the under-23s. It is a big gap. When you're in the top half of the championship, aiming to get in the playoffs or promoted, the gap from under-23s is large. On the other hand, your players in the under-23s can get loans to decent standard clubs because they're being loaned by a top half of the championship club. But one player that did not play on Tuesday night was Bez Topoloj, or Topoloy, however you want to pronounce it. And as everyone knows, he's featured in the first team squad this season as left back. He's a left-sided central defender or left back. Been forced to play as a left wing back, not necessarily what he's always done, but pleased to see him being given a chance. That was good. And there are some other good players in that side. Tom Leahy, he's a striker. He will get goals this season. He's a natural goal scorer. Alex Mitchell and Hayden Muller both played in that game for at least part of the game. But we did make a number of changes to look at some trialists. The last part of the game wasn't so interesting, although we did get a late goal to make it 3-1 from a defender called Carleen Grant, who was impressive. But the other centre-back that I like played in the first half against the giant centre-forward, Chin Okoli, who there was rumours that we might be losing, like Zach, but he signed a scholarship, and I think I'll be keeping my eyes open for how he develops. So that's it. That's all I've got to say at the moment. And let's hope that they both teams have good seasons and produce some genuine players for our first team squad.
Thanks, Jeff. That's a great insight. Carleen Grant sounds like he could be exactly what we need to. Stan, was there anything you'd like to ask of Jeff about what he watched?
There's 2 points that I think need to be clarified. I'm not saying Jeff's what he's saying is not clear, but it's just, let me just bear with me for a minute. You see, if you take, for example, the Lovelace situation, people seem to think, right, but the problem is what they don't often realise is that the power lies within the player, doesn't it? Because you know, if you've got somebody who's due to running out of contract, all he's got, he presumably acts on the advice of his agent, and if his agent's telling him not to sign, then it don't matter what the club do. If he ain't going to sign, he ain't going to sign. You know, because they've been talking to other clubs, and you know, when we had this scenario with Lovelace now, this is always, you know, it's always a problem. And I remember when we had John. Used to play for us, John Goodman, right? Who was the academy coach as it then. I don't know if he still is now. At MK Dons, and he turned around and said, you know, that the academy system is all geared in favour of the big Premiership clubs. From what I can make out of it all, and Jeff's better qualified than I am. Youth team player now. Take for example this young kid, this Toffler. I've not seen him play. People have. And they, you know, say, oh yeah, he's so far so good and whatever. But there's been other players. I wonder what they must feel like when you get the manager. They get a taste of it, and then all of a sudden, you know, they then pick up a newspaper and then read that we're signing some academy kid to come in from, say, Leeds or whatever. I mean, especially if it's in the position they're playing in, it must knock the stuffing out of them. You know, because you say, well, hang on, if you want to promote academy players, well, what's the matter with us? Why is it we're not getting the chance? I mean, it's not an easy issue to solve, but you get what I'm saying.
I do, Stan. I think your point about the power being in the hands of the player and their advisors, that's certainly the case. And that does play into the hands of the big clubs. I wouldn't say it's geared for the big clubs, but it plays into their hands because they can afford to make a mistake. There's plenty of examples of clubs that have taken under 16s, under 15s from other clubs, and they've never trained on and become worth anything, and they end up getting released and going lower down. But the last two that we've lost that was a heartbreaker was Darko Giabi and Sami Dozie. Both of those went to Man City. That's within the English FA, so I imagine we got quite decent money for them. The annoying thing was the Scotland thing, but I was aware, as soon as I heard they were in for him, I feared the worst, because I imagine they had to really look after Zach and his family. But there's no telling whether he will develop on up there. If he's training with their under-23s, and he could have been training with our first team and maybe even getting games, time will tell whether he's made a good decision. I'm sure financially they've been very well looked after, and I'm just relieved we haven't lost anybody else this summer. We'll have to watch that.
Yeah, we all feel for the issues surrounding Zach Lovelace leaving. I caught up with Millwall Romans and Millwall Pride. They're yet to return to action, but I spoke with General Manager Paul Loding earlier to hear about preparations for the next season. Let's hear what Paul had to say. How did the season end for the sides, and what's going on now, Paul?
Hi, Eamonn. Really good to speak to you again. I hope you're staying cool in this heat wave, and everyone's keeping well out there. Yeah, so we finished the season quite late. Unfortunately, we didn't end up winning the league this year. The last game of the season was quite a big one down at St Paul's, and unfortunately, it just didn't go our way on the day. We only needed a draw, and we just couldn't hold on to it, unfortunately. But we've been training all the way through. So every Wednesday, we're still training down at St Paul's, just keeping a bit of fitness up as well.
You also had the Pride March. How did that go?
We did. We were quite fortunate. It's our first year that London Pride was actually on for the last couple of years. So it's the first time we've actually marched under the Millwall umbrella, which went really, really well. There was a really good turnout there. Simon Hughes, the MP, actually came down as well and was with us. But it was a really good day. We sort of went through there representing Millwall, gave out as many cards as we could to try and get some more followers, and obviously and promote the team. And again, we always say if anyone wants to come down to training, it's Wednesdays 7:30 from St Paul's. Wednesday 7:30 till 9. It's open for all. It's a free training session. So if anyone wants to, you're more than welcome.
Next season's not far off. What's your thoughts going into the next season?
So looking forward to the season from next year. So we'll still be entering the two teams, the Romans and Pride team that will be going in. We're going to have a slight restructure of how it's going to be this season. So it's looking like I'll be taking a bit more of a chairman type role and stepping down as manager of the Romans team. It's been great fun. It's a lot of hard work. Looking after the club and managing the Romans team. So I'm going to sort of try and take a step back from the day-to-day running of the first team, the Romans team, and then sit as more of a chairman role, just overseeing everything within the club. I've been doing it for nearly 6 years, so I think it's time I gave the reins over to somebody else.
Chairman Loding, like it. Needed with two teams. You've done some great work. What about the league arrangements?
But yeah, we're still looking to enter the two teams into the London Unity League this year, the Romans and Pride. There may be a chance, depending on how the training goes, because we seem to have increased our numbers again. We may have a third team that will be just playing friendlies throughout the season. They won't be entering into a league as yet. It just might be a sort of separate team that will go out every once a month, maybe once every 2 months, just play a friendly, and obviously get involved with the training. So and that's just due to the increase of numbers that we've actually, we just keep attracting people, which is great, and I'm really, really pleased about that.
Great to hear your numbers increasing. In fact, brilliant. And maybe a third team. And well, that would be amazing. When does your season start?
We have been given our fixtures for the LUL, the London Unity League. We start in September, so we'll be starting pre-season, the official pre-season, within the next week or so, and then we'll be lining up some friendlies throughout the summer. Big mistake we made last year was going into our first game without any friendlies. We finished the season off quite late last year. And then we went straight our first game in September, a little bit unprepared and obviously lost, which we're always chasing in the league title for last season. So I think if we can go out at the start of the season with our fitness levels up and our playing style up, then that will help us, and hopefully then we're not chasing the points rather than hopefully we're just getting the points in rather than chasing the points all season.
Improved preparation sounds a brilliant idea. How about the UK and Ireland GFSN Cup? Will you be entering this year?
We'll be entering the GFSN Cup. It hasn't gone our way the last couple of years. Village Manchester, they are a very, very strong team. They've got they do put on a good performance, and we gave them a good game in 2021 when we played the final up in Birmingham, and this year when we went to their home ground, we just didn't turn up in the semi-final. It just didn't happen, and they ultimately have gone on to win the GFSN Cup again against Dublin, and ended up winning on penalties. So we're definitely after them, but we'll definitely be putting a team into the GFSN Cup.
Thanks, Paul. We look forward to hearing from you again about the Romans and Pride. Bye for now. Yeah, so that all seems very positive. Numbers increasing, etc., etc. Bethany, you got any thoughts around the Pride and Roman side?
Yeah, it's lovely to see that they were marching under a Millwall flag, and hopefully from that marching they can get some more people who are interested in football to go down and see them and support them. I think that's fantastic. Obviously, as I said, they didn't win the season, but hopefully this season is their season. It seems like from the conversation they're getting bigger and bigger each year, so it would be lovely to get down and see a game as well. Definitely put it on my list this year.
That's it. Get down there and see them. Stan?
They just seem to be going from strength to strength, don't they? I mean, when you think about it, we started off with one team, then we got two, possibly can. Well, I mean, I think they will get the three.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that'll be on, and so that's a good thing. No, I mean, it's just all good stuff, isn't it? And and so long may that continue. I mean, because at the end of the day, we're talking about Millwall here. So
That's right.
Millwall is a football club, and the name Millwall benefit from that.
Yeah. Jeff, any thoughts?
Spoken to Paul Loding on a number of occasions. He's an excellent guy. He'd make a great chairman, as it were. A bit concerned to hear he won't be managing. I hope they manage to replace him as a manager successfully. That's always going to be a chance to be taken. But what they're doing is only good for the reputation of the Millwall Football Club outside of the club. We are pioneers in all sorts of ways. A very, very misunderstood club indeed, as we all know. We pioneered women's and girls football 2 or 3 decades ago, and look where that is now. So I'm very, very pleased that the Romans are with us, and wish them very well for all the best for the coming season.
Yeah, that's good stuff. We'll catch up with the Lionesses hopefully next week, but we must mention Libby Stubbs, who he sponsored for 2 seasons. Libby, Lionesses captain, departed the side in the close season for pastures new. All the best, Libby. Right, friendly at the Den tomorrow against League One Ipswich Town. Again, it's all about minutes, and I suspect no one will be risked if they're nursing a knock. But can I ask each one of you what you expect to see, and whether we will finish with a win or what? Or does it actually matter? Jeff?
I would like to see a number of players play 90 minutes, but we may not get that because, as we discussed earlier, we've got a bigger and more competitive squad this season than possibly ever before. And I think Gary and the chairman are taking the view that the successful clubs, the ones that got automatic promotion, they had big squads. They were able to cope with injuries and unavailability, having the ability to have fresh legs to bring on, but without reducing the quality of the team that was on the pitch. So I think we are going to see a squad game. There are 5 subs this year, which makes that even more the case. I just would like to see Billy Mitchell play a part. I miss seeing him on Wednesday night. I'd like to know that everything's fine there, probably nursing a minor injury. I'll be looking out for that. And how the system works, because with just 2 in midfield, I think Karl made the point that Gary likes them to have to be covering all amazing amounts of ground, but you need people of equal ability to come on when they're exhausted. And we have got that in depth now. So let's see what his team selection is, what substitutions he makes. But yeah, I think it would be very, very good if we could actually finish the pre-season with a healthy win. And I believe we will get that.
Okay. Bethany?
It's just nice to get, like you said, just to get minutes in. Obviously, a win would be lovely anyway. But again, it would just be nice to see the players rotating a little bit, just to get everyone having a little run around, little practice before first game of the season. I'm pretty positive about anything pre-season, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Stan?
Well, I mean, I never get myself too excited about pre-season friendlies, and I mean, if we can win on Saturday, all well and good. But to me, it doesn't matter. It's about, the players, how they're fitting in, if there's going to be a change of system and all this sort of stuff, and how can they handle it and whatever. But I mean, I have to say, I don't know what he's done, Gary Rowett, but he's clearly got the message home to the board and the chairman that if the club needs to progress, you can't sit still. You have to keep. So, like at the end of this season, assuming we're still, I mean, if we was in the Championship come the end of this season, then you have to go again because everybody else goes again. The quality continues to rise. You can't sit back, and it would appear that they've got that message. That's the first thing, and I think that the board. They need all and the chairman, they need all the credit that they can. Equally, in saying that, it's all very well for people to point the finger at the board, right? But last season we had a reduction in the attendance at the ground.
Yeah.
What's the name? So I'm hoping, right, that this season, and I don't want to keep hearing about excuses about the prices of tickets and people are at work and all that, because I don't have it. Because, I hear all this cost of living stuff. Well, that doesn't just affect Millwall. That affects every football ground in this country. And yet, they don't seem to have the same problems getting people into their ground as that we do. So I'm hoping that we then have a response from the crowd. They need to show the same sort of commitment that the board have done in this season in terms of the players.
Can't disagree with you at all. It's lucky the likes of Bethany and her dad come down from deepest Essex to see us. Well, we'll take a break there and hear what fantastic fanatics can do with a little bit of help from ourselves. That's all of us.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnige, Bethany Warren and Stan Godwin. With summer holidays coming, why not spend through the Fantastic Fanatics site and give a summertime bonus to the Millwall Community Trust, which will help them deliver such activity as school holiday camps and walking football sports for the over 50s. And that's just a tip of the iceberg. Our final guest, it's true to say that this guest and his team has been at the centre of some remarkable initiatives this year. It's my pleasure to welcome the one and only Sean Daly of the Millwall Community Trust to the show. Hello, Sean.
Good evening, Eamonn. How are you, all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Hello. Hi, Sean.
Hello, everyone.
Before I let you off to the team, I would just like to thank you for affording the Legends of 1972 to hold their open discussion with fans under the watchful eye of our host, Jeff Burnige. I can add that the recorded session was delivered in 2 parts recently and has been broadcast with great reaction by a very large number of listeners. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, it's Jeff here, Sean. Good evening. Yeah, it was a brilliant evening. It was a great honour for me to host that. It was great of the Community Trust to be able to make that possible. Everybody really enjoyed it together, and we'll do something similar, I hope, this season. Anyway, this summer saw you receive some great accolades from various quarters, including the mayors of Southwark and Greenwich and Lewisham NHS. Can you tell the listeners what these were all about?
Yeah, I mean, it was recognition of the work we've done in the last year within the 2 boroughs. The NHS one was for the work that we did and the Community Trust did with supporting NHS workers during the pandemic. We do Cares project. Really, it was them just sort of thanking us for everything that we've done. So it was a great award to receive that. And the Civic Award that we received from Southwark was about all our work that we do within the borough, addressing schools, walking sports, holiday camps, crime reduction. So it was just like an award to thank us for everything that we've done, which was very appreciated. But it's not my award, it's an award for the whole of the community trust, because they made it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Bethany.
Hi Sean. I have noticed lots of activity going on for the Trust, from the trip to Kenya, the mental health football sessions, meeting the permanent secretary with responsibility for HMP ISIS in Thamesmead. So much is happening, but how are these activities progressing and what else is new?
We literally work 365 days of the year and have a variety of projects. The Belmarsh Prison project, that's come to an end now, and we'll restart again in September. But summer is sort of like around the corner for us at the moment. So everything finishes with schools, etc. But summer will start, and what we're going to do is we're going to do what we've done for the last couple of years: not charge children to come on camps, and we're going to feed them. So we're looking at about 350 children a day that we're going to run free holiday camps and provide them with a hot meal.
Wow.
And we know it's very important. It's going to be done in both boroughs with Lewisham and Southwark. We've managed to go out and get the funding so it doesn't cost these people. But we know that families during school holidays, that's the really pitch point for them, because the children won't get free school meals if they're entitled to them. So we've got the platform that we should be doing this. So that's what we're all doing next week. I think we've got around about 7 venues with Lewisham and Southwark, but a total of about 350 children. So it's going to be a bit hectic, but very rewarding.
That's fantastic. 7 venues. Someone's going to be running around in that van, Sean, aren't they?
I think it's going to be me, I think. Well, bus driver's hat on.
Yeah, you look good with that.
It's very rewarding. It's what we should do. That's we're there to benefit our community, so that's what we should be doing. And people haven't got the money this time of year to pay for childcare and holiday camps, and if we can get the funding, then we'll put them on.
Stan?
Yeah, what's your Sean? Stan here, mate. How you doing?
Evening, Stan. Very well, thank you.
Good. I've been interested in the new training ground developments down in Kent. I mean, I remember when we come there to the MCT some while ago, and I think the chief executive was there from the council, and he sort of said hello and whatever. I've noticed in the proposals surrounding the MCT functioning from there, particular problems that would be done that you will experience down there, do you reckon, which you don't get currently up this end?
The trust has been involved in the whole process of when the training ground was purchased, to all the consultations, and that's literally where I've just come from tonight. I've been down in Fulcombe, which is near Brands Hatch, to do a public consultation where the public come in, look at the plans for the training ground, and then ask questions. The big thing for the whole project is that the Community Trust will have another base, so we'll still continue our base at the Den, but we'll have another base as well now in Kent at our training ground, which will give us another avenue to run all our projects down in Kent, the same as what we're doing up in Lewisham, but what we'd literally do is we'd have a new fan base. Now, the needs for Sevenoaks and West Kingsdown are going to be very different from the needs of Southwark and Lewisham. But what we'll do is we'll work very closely with the council, and you talked there about for Peter Fleming, the councillor who came down. And we've already spoke to him about some of the needs of the community over there and how we can address it. One hat doesn't fit all, so we can't literally drop our crime reduction straight into Sevenoaks because they haven't got the same problems that we've got in Lewisham. So it's us working with them to say what your needs, how can we help you, and then from that we're hoping to build a new fan base as well, which will be Sevenoaks, Tunbridge, Dartford, and then they would come into the Den as well. But we wouldn't stop working in Lewisham and Southwark. All that work would continue. They've done 30 odd years of work in there. That wouldn't stop. This would just be another satellite of Millwall, turning Kent blue, hopefully.
Can I just ask you something on that, Sean? When you've met the locals down there, did you get the impression, resistance, because they anticipated a football club, a stadium and whatever? Now it's been pointed out to them, well, no, that ain't what it's about, it's the training facilities and whatever. It seems to have calmed a few nerves down there.
Yeah, I think everyone's wary, aren't they? When something new is going to come into the area, people have got questions about it. I did think exactly what you think there, is that some did have questions. They thought the stadium was moving to West Kingsdown, and all of a sudden there's going to be 20,000 people coming down this tiny little road. And it was there, that's why the public consultations are very important. And I've been to them, Steve Kavanagh's been to them, Billy's been to them, and we speak to the public about, right, these are the plans, and we just put their minds at rest, really. It's going to be a professional training ground that is only going to be for elite, but the benefits going to come is the community trust are going to be based out of there, and they're going to service Sevenoaks. We're already doing work in 3 or 4 schools around there. I think on the 27th of August, we've got about 150 young people coming from West Kingsdown that are going to come to the game. So we're already doing work in the area, and we haven't even got planning permission for the training ground yet. It's gone in, but that's the sort of work that we've gone ahead and started doing already without getting the planning permission. So I think everyone's a bit wary at the time, but I think, like you say, it's died down now. People can see what it's going to be, and people are embracing it, thinking, they're going to have Brands Hatch there, the London Golf Course, and then they're going to have professional football club's training ground. Great for the area.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, mate. But I should imagine they were a bit panic-stricken when they heard that we were coming or planning to come.
Not just Millwall. I think if they'd thought that any club was moving their stadium there, I think the little roads to get there are very difficult. And I think that 20,000 people going down that road wouldn't be right.
Based on what you've heard, would you say the feedback's looking good for us?
Well, one of the consultations we did with councillors, and we had like every councillor in Sevenoaks on a Zoom call, and the feedback reception was very good. 99% of people have been very receptive about it and see it's only could be a plus for the districts of Sevenoaks and for Kent.
Jeff.
I wanted to ask you, Sean, again about the summer project. I think the idea that we are providing holiday camp and free hot meals, that's amazing. I think it's an amazing thing to do. It really makes it into a community thing. There's no there's no money changing hands from the kids that are coming. And I think we all saw it before. We saw that sometimes the kids were actually asking for a meal for their mums. So that is brilliant to hear. That's going ahead this year, even more than before. And I hope you'll let everybody know what the 7 venues are, because I certainly like to pop down and see one of them. So well done on that. On food as well, you've got the Kick and Cook scheme that Debbie Julian's envisaged. That's gone very, very well. Top chefs going into local schools teaching the kids about nutrition and how to prepare food. That's been fantastic as well. Brilliant work, Sean. I'm so pleased this is happening, and congratulations to you and all your staff.
No, I appreciate that. No, we want to give kids an opportunity to do different things, to become chefs. Kids don't get that opportunity to meet professional chefs. So we think that's very important. We also started a project around STEM, about engineering. So we're working with a company at the moment to go and deliver engineering in schools, because we think that's a great opportunity for young people to do, but it's based around football. And the idea is we have a football pitch with little robots on it, and the children have to move the robots to kick the ball. But they're learning about engineering and how things work and programming. We're trying to give kids a scope to say, well, I don't just have to go to college and do this. I can go to college and become a chef, or I can go to college and become an engineer. We're just trying to broaden their horizons of what they can do in the area.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Sean, thanks for joining us yet again, and you're amazingly busy, I know, these days. But I'm sure we'll hear from you again along the way, and I'm sure we'll be covering more of your activities soon. In fact, looks like Jeff will be down there with his microphone at the sports camps. Until the next time, all the best to you, yours, and your team's ventures ahead. You're doing an exceptionally incredible job, and all that investment ahead of what I can see is a planning meeting I can see will pay off. Thanks for coming on the show. Bye for now, Sean.
Thank you very much for your support. Thanks very much, everyone. Good night.
Bye, Sean. Bye, Sean.
See you, Sean.
Bye, Sean.
Well, here's looking forward to the new season, and there are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
First off, what about sponsoring a player enjoying a great executive lounge VIP package with family and or friends, or just getting behind the club in a number of different ways? And that includes business propositions, from advertising to sponsorship, just contact the lovely Andrew Stead or a member of his team in the commercial department to find out more. And good night.
Next week, Gary returns for the show on Friday at 8 p.m. to host George, Ted and James. There will be a preview of our first game of the season and a couple of guests too. So don't miss next week's show. Good night.
The next Millwall History and Heritage Tour takes place on September the 24th, starting at 11 a.m, and tickets are currently on sale on eventbrite.co.uk. Just search for Millwall History and Heritage on the site. And don't forget, matchday programmes will be on sale outside the stadium at the gates tomorrow. And bring a £1 coin to buy one. Good night.
Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us talking team bring reports from our games, both home and away, and updates on Millwall Community Matters too, on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Links are on our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thanks, Jeff, Bethany and Stan. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night.